This versus video will be unlike any I have done before. I will be comparing 13, yes, 13 210-4 Texas types and Selkirks in the USA and Canada. Santa Fe 5000 versus Bessemer and Lake Erie 643 versus Duluth, Mesabi and Iron Range 630 and 635 versus Canadian Pacific 5900 versus Canadian Pacific 8000 versus Chesapeake and Ohio 3035 versus Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 6310 versus Chicago Great Western 880 and 873 versus Pennsylvania Railroad 6174 versus Texas and Pacific 610 with 5 winners. This ought to be interesting. Anyway, requested by Rainer Baguette saying, so thank you for the massive, and I mean massive request, man. Anyway, let's get on to the history. And by the way, this is going to be extremely long, so so for anyone watching, go grab some popcorn because this is going to take a while. Santa Fe 5000 is a 210 Texas type built by Baldwin in 1930. It pulled freight trains through the Santa Fe system until being retired in 1957 and placed on display in Amarillo, Texas. Whether it will run again is uncertain. Bessemer and Lake Erie 643 is a 210-4 class H1 Texas type built by Alco in 1929. It pulled freight trains through the Bessemer and Lake Erie system until being retired in 1952 and bought by Glenn Campbell until it was bought by the Age of Steam Roundhouse in 2018 or whatever. I don't know the exact year. Right before it got scrapped. Whether it will run again is uncertain. Duluth, Mesabi, and Iron Range 630 and 635 are both 210-4 E4 Texas types built by Alco in 1929. They pulled freight trains through Minnesota until being retired in 1961 and sadly scrapped. Canadian Pacific 5900 is a 210-4 Selkirk built by the Montreal Locomotive Works in 1929. It pulled freight trains through Canada until being retired in the 1950s. Canadian Pacific 8000 is a rather strange 210-4 Selkirk built by an unknown builder that I have no idea who it was built by. Anyway, it pulled mixed trains through Canada until being retired in the 1950s, I think. I'm not entirely sure. And it was scrapped, sadly enough. I like it. Vermont Central 700 is a 210-4 Texas type built by Alco in 1928. It pulled freight trains through the Central Vermont system until being retired in the 1950s. Chesapeake in Ohio 3035 is a 210-4 Texas type built by Lima in 1930. It pulled freight and coal trains through the C&O system until being retired in the 1950s. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 6310 is a 210-4 class M4 built by Lima in 1930. It pulled freight trains through the CB&Q system until being retired in the 1950s. Chicago Great Western 880 is a 210-4 class T1 built by Lima in 1929. It pulled freight trains through the Chicago Great Western system until being retired in the 1950s. And as for 873, she is different, being a 210-4 class T2 built by Baldwin in 1930. It also pulled freight trains through the Chicago Great Western system until being retired in the 1950s. Here's a familiar one. Pennsylvania Railroad J1 number 6174 is a 210 J1 Texas type, like I already said, built by the Pennsy Altoona shops in 1942. It pulled freight trains through the Pennsy system until being retired in 1957 and scrapped 3 years later. Texas and Pacific 610 is a 210 Texas type built by Lima in 1927. It pulled freight trains through the Texas and Pacific system until being retired in 1951 and restored in 1976 for the American Freedom Train as well as for the Southern Steam Program. Retired from excursion service in 1981 and is on display in the Texas State Railroad Museum. Whether it will run again is uncertain. Alright, now we got that out of the way. First, we compare their physical attributes. 5,000 has 95,584 pounds of tractive effort. 643, 630, and 635 all have 102,106 pounds of tractive effort each. 5,900 has 78,000 pounds of tractive effort. 8,000 has 90,000 pounds of tractive effort. 700 has 82,620 pounds. 3035 has 91,584 pounds. 6310 has 102,106 pounds of tractive effort. 880 and 873 both have 92,590 pounds. 6174 has 95,100 pounds of tractive effort. And finally, 610 has 92,590 pounds of tractive effort. 105,890 with the booster engaged. 5,000's weight is unknown to me, as usual. 643, 630, and 635 weigh 453 tons each. 5,900 weighs 223 tons total. 8,000 weighs 392 tons total. 700 weighs 344 tons total. 3035 weighs 490 tons total. 6310 weighs 449 tons total. 880 and 873 both weigh 383 tons total each. 6174 weighs 478 tons total, and 610 weighs 364 tons total. 643, 630, 635, 6310, and 610 get the edge in physical attributes. Now we compare their fuel economy and maintenance. 5,000, 5,900, and 610 use oil. Not sure about 5,900 though. The rest use coal. 8,000 has 250 psi. 5,900 has 275 psi. 643, 630, 700, 6310, and 635 has 250 psi. 5,000 has 300 psi. 880, 873, 610, and 6174 have 255 psi. 35 has 260 psi, and 643, 630, 635, and 610, as well as 6310 get the edge in fuel economy and maintenance because they produce more tractive effort with the lower boiler pressure. And now, the 5 victorious locomotives. This is in fact the biggest versus video I've ever done in my life. All these locomotives are unique in one way or another, but being the new comparison person, or at least, or I don't know. I've been comparing for who knows how long now, and I really appreciate you guys' support. But anyway, back to the video. But I am actually going to have to declare Bessemer and Lake Erie 643, Duluth, Mesabi and Iron Range 630 and 635, Texas and Pacific 610, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 6310, the winners. I hope you all have enjoyed this massive versus video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.